What is demand? Let's start by thinking about markets. A market exists where there are buyers and sellers. Sellers supply goods to the market. Buyers demand goods from the market. Demand has a special meaning in economics. It's the quantity of a good or a service that consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price in a given period of time. But what happens to demand as the price changes? This is a demand diagram. Price is on the vertical axis and quantity demanded is on the horizontal axis. The demand curve shows the whole relationship between price and quantity demanded. So we can see that when price is £200, the quantity demanded is 2,000 units. But if price falls to £100, then quantity demanded increases to over 3,000 units. So what happens to demand as price changes? Price changes cause movement along the demand curve. But price is not the only factor which determines the level of demand for a good. Changes in income cause a shift in the demand curve. If we all get richer, then it's likely that we'll all demand more meals out in restaurants, even if the price remains the same. So whatever the price, demand will increase. We can show this on our diagram by shifting the whole demand curve to the right. Look at the new curve. At every price, demand has increased. But if incomes fall, we might demand fewer restaurant meals at every price. In this case, the whole demand curve would shift to the left. Does a rise in consumer incomes always lead to a rise in demand? For most goods, yes, these are normal goods. But demand for inferior goods falls when incomes rise. Is there anything else that might affect demand? Changes in the price of other goods might. For example, what happens to demand for train tickets when the price of fuel rises? Well, people will use their cars less and travel by train more, so demand for train tickets will rise. So changes in the price of other goods, substitutes, can cause a shift in the demand curve. Some goods also have complements. These are goods that we tend to buy together, like smartphones and chargers, or fish and chips, or computer games and the consoles they run on. If the price of a good rises, then demand for its complement is likely to fall because we buy them together. Derived demand is when demand for a good is the consequence of demand for something else. For example, demand for bricks depends on demand for new houses. What other factors change demand? Changes in population. Advertising. Isn't the point of advertising to increase demand? Changes in the law, legislation. If the law says we have to wear cycle helmets, then demand for cycle helmets will rise. Changes in fashion. So you should have a good understanding now of what demand is, how to illustrate demand on a diagram, and some of the things that might affect demand for goods and services. Now answer the questions.